What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another chance encounter. Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. We're seeing more properties like this being built in front of a house that's going to be torn down soon. I understand that there are power lines that are getting kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg, and that there is a commercial real estate building. I'm joined today with Janna Armstrong. How you doing today, Janna?
Hi, fine, thank you. Thanks
All
for
right.
asking.
Yeah, no, I'm so glad to have you, and we get to finally catch up on screen time. But I don't know if you're aware of this, but my very favorite audience member is here watching today too, Jenna. And let me fill you in on why they're here. It's because this is a chance encounter where I interview commercial real estate investors, operators, and syndicators. And why do I do that? Well, you have to know if there's any overlap in your business, and the fact that it's also the law. You can't involve people in your private deals unless you actually know each other. That's just the bonus part. But before we get too excited, Jenna, can you please introduce yourself a little bit to the audience, please?
Yes, my name is Janna Armstrong. I am a commercial real estate investor and syndicator. I pretty much invest in the Sun Belt region, and I started this about 2 years ago.
All right, beautiful. So you're not a newbie. So I can start off with this part. If I go like that, then you can see my seat. Okay, but wait, check your eight. It says, and the check your eight is under this thing here. I don't know if you can see the audience if they've got a red button or a gray button under. Maybe you can't tell from there, but that's the thing. They need to hit the subscribe button because otherwise YouTube isn't going to pay for these videos at all, and that's terrible. But we're going to go through the five distinct motivations. And these I find are unique among commercial real estate investors. So let me go through all five of them. The first one I found, some people are interested in preserving their purchasing power. And what that means is they already have a portfolio of assets and they depend on the cash flow from those to make ends meet. So when they make a new acquisition, it's to stave off inflation because they're not going to be selling off any of their assets. That's not where I am right now. What I'm up to, my main motivation is trading time directly for wealth. I've got a background in technology, specifically back in 2011, I opened my first CRM agency. And so the problem, though, with being in technology or being any kind of high earner is you're paying more tax than anybody else. So it hit me as like, well, how can I pivot so that I'm gaining that equity, that deployed equity instead? So that's why I'm doing all of this. But some people, they're more concerned about taking over their schedule, maybe leaving the door open for retirement at all, or maybe they just want to fast track it, whatever it is. That's what they're up to, and that's why they're making these acquisitions. And that's a little bit different from the next two groups. Like the next one, they're so ambitious, they want to buy their entire hometown. They are looking for that generational wealth to make sure that their great grandchildren never have to hold a day job, and that's what they're up to. So these guys are great because they're going to be hustling into their 90s, just like the last group, who they've found some sector of society, or maybe it's for the environment, or maybe it's animals, or who knows what it is, but they realize that you need to get that financial side backed up if you really are going to make a huge impact. So that's why they're making these acquisitions. So Jenna, of those five, what stood out to you? What sounded like something that describes you best?
Um, Actually, time for money. Yeah, it's being able to have that financial freedom to do the things that I love to do, which is commercial real estate investing, and being able to live anywhere I want and still get the investment done, and being able to actually get set up with for my son. Provide generational wealth.
All right, excellent. I love it. And my next question is a little bit weird. It's the tolerance for risk assessment. It's a fill in the blanks question. So please fill in this blank. There are many popular investment asset classes, but I think blank is too risky. What's too risky for you?
Crypto.
Crypto? Yeah.
Yes, yes, I invested like $3,000 in crypto, and I think the value of my crypto is probably $900 now.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly it. That's part of the risk, right? You got to have something with underlying value. So that brings us to commercial real estate specifically, and the part that we're doing now, it has to do with the different roles. And if you go to dandoesdeals.com, you can get your very own dandoesdeals.com commercial roll die with the 6 different roles in a commercial deal. And I go
Love
through
it.
these every single time to make sure that you and the audience can efficiently and effectively communicate on the subject of commercial real estate. So I go through every single one of them every time. So let's go through these. First one is the repositioner. A repositioner is a person who looks at a bunch of different properties and is doing a bunch of different paperwork. Why are they doing that paperwork? Well, they're an acquisitions person, so that means they're talking to sellers. So the first thing they need to do, it's a fancy word, they call it underwriting. They have to underwrite the property, which means do the math, and they're doing that because they need to find out if the property is actually even making the amount of money that the seller says it is. And then the second thing that the repositioner is doing after they underwrite it is they're saying, how do we reposition it? How do we change the property so that we're making more from this property than it is right now? And the main tools in the repositioner's tool belt, the simplest one is to find more advantageous lending from the financiers. Financiers being people who only deal with paper and money. So if you have better financiers, then the repositioner has already baked in some upside, but usually they have to do a little bit more. First one that they're going to look at is the operations. They're going to stop those Benjamins from going down the toilets, but there's more than just unclogging toilets and mopping, mowing lawns and all of that kind of fun stuff. There's also a marketing part, which is one of my fortes. The marketing piece is to keep the vacancy rate low, and then there's also automations and whatnot that I can help with on the operations side. But that's not usually enough for most repositioners because it's just so competitive. So frequently they'll have to get a contractor team involved so that they can do the renovations, they can fix the place up, they can do a value add, as it's also called. And that way the next tenants will be happy to pay more rent than the previous ones, and there's your upside. But if the repositioner has the same problem that I do, which is I'm from the internet, so that means I need a local. I need boots on the ground, somebody who lives nearby who can be there in an hour or two. And their job is accountability, making sure the operators are actually doing what they say they are, making sure that the contractors are doing what they say they are, and they're on schedule, all that kind of fun stuff. And that seems like the ownership team, and the financiers sometimes are part owners as well. But if the repositioner turns around to the financier, says, hey, I got this property all ironed out in my head, and I just need, say, tens of millions of dollars to buy this property worth tens of millions of dollars. So you want to lend that to me? Well, the financier is going to be like, well, just hold up a sec. Who's your KP? Who's your sponsor? And what that's all about is if you want to be eligible for a commercial loan, you have to have somebody in the fold who already owns a similar asset. So if the tens of millions of dollars are because you're buying like a 350 unit apartment complex, well, somebody in the fold has to already own a similar asset, or the answer is going to be no, you're not going to get the loan. But on top of that, you also need a certain amount of liquidity, and then you also need a balance sheet of at least the amount of the loan. But if you have all of those pieces, you've got yourself a commercial real estate deal. So, Janna, as far as those different core competencies, what are your strong suits? What are you likely to contribute?
Actually, underwriting, acquisitions, yes, and doing the due diligence in the process of the acquisition.
All
Yes.
right. Beautiful, beautiful. So then the next question then is where, and really what the ideal property is. When commercial investors are talking to each other and are saying, hey, where's the ideal property? If I have it in hand, what's perfect for you? And what they're really asking for is 3 things. First one's geography. Where is it? Which states? What counties? What neighborhoods? Okay, that all matters. Second one is the size. We're talking about multifamily here, so it's going to be unit counts. There's a big difference between a 5 unit apartment complex and a 500 unit apartment complex. So you got to know what scale you're really talking about. That's how you do it in multifamily. And then the third one is class. And unfortunately, they use the same word for 2 different things. The first meaning of class, it has to do with the condition of the building. So is it old and beat up, or is it up to date but it's no frills, or is it all really luxurious and brand spanking new and all that kind of stuff? That's one version of class. The other version of class is the area that the property is located in. So what's the crime rate like? What are the school districts like? Okay. And both of those two are ranked with the same system as in grade school, where it's like, B plus, A minus, C, and so on like that. So So, Janna, as far as properties that are easier to say yes to and they're more difficult to say no to, what you looking for?
So what I'm looking for are landlord-friendly states in the Sun Belt area that extends from North Carolina all the way down south to Florida and into heading west into like the Texas area and Arizona. I'm looking at key market areas that are growing and that are economically diverse. That's really important. And the classes that I'm mainly focusing on are value add, class B and C, but we will also look at class A where you can add some value, as well as class A through C locations. We do not look at class D locations. And let me see. And I think that's it. That's it to answer your question.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The unit count is the only other
Oh,
one.
oh yeah, the unit count. I'm sorry. The unit count. We look more into like 75 units or more.
Mhm.
The sweet spot is probably about 150 to 200, 250. Yes.
All right, beautiful. And as far as like one of the things I got to mention is that in commercial real estate, because it's multifaceted, you've got all these different people, and we're all constantly building teams. It means that we're all really helpful and eager to give referrals, but we still, because of our core competencies, we're better suited to help some people more than others. Me personally, I'm always on the lookout for more sponsors and KPs because of my marketing and digital background. They've got the foundation where I can really be fuel to the fire. Whereas when you're first starting and you don't have that foundation, it's the grunt work that you actually really need. So that's who I'm always looking for. Janna, I don't know if you have any 506B deals going on right now, but if you do, you're not allowed to entice investors, so don't do that. But as far as the people who you're best suited to help, can you describe who you can help disproportionately?
Actually, like you, sponsors and KPs. I've got several of them, that, and so, some of these sponsors only look in specific areas. And so I do have to have a wider range of selections of sponsors and KPs. And for the most part, my sponsors and KPs do invest in various areas that I'm looking at, but the ones that I am specifically working with my team do sponsor in areas that I am looking at.
Beautiful. All right, and we met through LinkedIn.
Yes.
I'm always watching. Like, I am definitely trying to tickle your funny bone, like very frequently as I'm posting.
Yeah,
Uh,
you are hilarious. Yeah.
well, I
I
do what I
love
can.
humor. I love
That's
humor.
awesome. So I know that people can reach you through LinkedIn, but I'm not sure if that's the best way. I've also seen you on Facebook. But what's the best way to reach you? Is it a website or is it
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn
Yeah.
is through LinkedIn, and you can set up a actually you can set up you can contact me through my Calendly on my website, which is www.multiassetinvestments.com. And yes.
All right, beautiful. And the only thing I have left is actually not for you, for you. It's actually for you in the audience, which is under my left hand. I can't emphasize the importance of this enough. Don't look too carefully because it might sear your eyeballs. This awful red button that says subscribe. You need this out of your life, and all you have to do is you just move your cursor, you take your finger, you hit the thing, and then it turns into the gray button of tranquility with the magical power that YouTube might start paying for these videos instead of me.
I will do that. I will do that.
All right, and
Most
you want to be like Jenna
definitely.
too, right? Of course,
Yes,
exactly.
of course.
Yeah, right. So, but honestly, like the story with the subscription button, it doesn't cost you anything. All it does is it means my videos might show up on your list of suggestions. You can feel free
I
to
would
do
love
whatever.
that. I
All
would
right,
love
cool.
that.
I just appreciate you joining me and you as well in the audience. Thank you so much for joining me, Jenna. This is
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
sweet, awesome. Make sure you 506B me. Any syndicators, make sure you 506B me.
Hi.
Oh, hey, yeah, here's my code. You got your QR code scanner? Okay, yeah, oh yeah, just hold it right in the square there. Okay, cool. And now you hit open in browser.
Okay.
Okay, are you already logged into 506BME?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, so there's my video. So now I'm already on your watch list. So when you get back to your hotel, you can find out what my core competencies are and my level of sophistication. Sound good?
Yeah.
I love your hat. Real estate's a scam. That's really funny.
Yeah.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
506 B me, everybody.